Money buys freedom, but not in the way most people imagine it. When people first hear this, they often think of luxury, fast cars, big houses, and expensive vacations. But Naval Ravikant's perspective is different. For him, freedom is not about showing off wealth, it's about having control over your own life. Freedom means waking up and deciding what you want to do with your day. It means not being trapped by obligations that don't align with your values. Money is the tool that allows you to stop trading your time and energy for mere survival, and instead start directing it toward the life you want. When you're broke or financially struggling, almost every decision you make is constrained by necessity. You take the job you don't like because the bills are due. You spend time with people you'd rather avoid because you need their approval, their paycheck, or their help. You can't pursue your deepest curiosities because they don't pay immediately. In that sense, the lack of money is like a chain around your neck. It limits your ability to choose. Freedom, then, is not about owning more. It's about needing less and having enough. Once your financial base is covered, money starts to serve you instead of you serving it. The greatest form of wealth is the ability to wake up and say, "Today, I will do what I want." That doesn't mean laziness, because in reality, humans are happiest when they're creating, learning, or contributing. But it does mean you're free to create in your own way, not in a way dictated by someone else. Imagine you want to paint, write, or start a small company. Without money, those things are luxuries because you're too busy paying rent or covering groceries. With money, they become possibilities. You don't need to become a billionaire for this. Even modest financial independence, where your passive income or savings cover your basic needs, can unlock a huge amount of freedom. Money also buys freedom from people. This may sound harsh, but think about it. Many of us stay in relationships, jobs, or environments that don't serve us because we're financially tied to them. If your boss mistreats you, but you need that paycheck, you endure it. If your friends pressure you into activities you dislike, but you fear losing their support, you give in. Money removes that dependency. You're no longer forced to tolerate toxic situations just to survive. You can walk away because you have the resources to stand on your own. That ability to say no is one of the purest forms of freedom. Another way money creates freedom is by buying you time. Time is the scarcest resource you have. You can lose money and earn it back, but once a day passes, it never returns. Most people spend the majority of their time working jobs they don't love, just to earn enough to continue working the next month. It's a cycle that consumes entire lifetimes. Money, when used wisely, can break this cycle. You can outsource tasks you dislike, whether that's cleaning, cooking, or errands. You can stop spending hours in traffic because you can afford to live closer to where you want. You can reduce the number of hours you trade for a paycheck, leaving more of your life for things that actually matter to you: family, health, creativity, or exploration. But here's the paradox: if you chase money endlessly, you lose the very freedom you're seeking. Many people mistake the tool for the goal. They keep accumulating wealth far beyond what they need, only to find themselves prisoners of their own businesses, investments, or ambitions. True freedom comes from having enough and recognizing it. The pursuit of money for its own sake can become another trap, another set of chains, this time made of gold. So the wisdom lies in using money as a servant, not worshipping it as a master. When Naval talks about freedom, it's always tied to self-awareness. You must first know what kind of life you actually want. Otherwise, money will only amplify confusion. If your dream is to spend more time with your children, then freedom means earning enough so you can be home, not chasing a bigger house or a fancier car. If your dream is to learn, create, or travel, then freedom means having enough to support that, not climbing a corporate ladder just because society says you should. Money buys freedom, but freedom only matters if you've taken the time to define what makes you feel alive. In the end, money does not buy happiness directly. What it buys is the space, the autonomy, and the choice to pursue happiness on your own terms. It removes the external pressures that keep you stuck in survival mode. It lets you say no to the things and people that drain you. It gives you back your time, the most precious thing you'll ever own. Money buys freedom, and freedom is the foundation upon which true happiness is built. Most people underestimate how much of their unhappiness comes from financial stress. We like to believe that our sadness is philosophical, spiritual, or existential, but in truth, a lot of it is practical. Worrying about rent, medical bills, debt, or even tomorrow's groceries creates a constant background noise in the mind. This noise is so loud that it drowns out peace, creativity, and joy. Naval Ravikant often says that happiness is our natural state. Like a child laughing or a bird singing, we are born to be happy. What removes that happiness are the obstacles we layer on top of it: fear, insecurity, and survival anxiety. Money, when used correctly, eliminates a large portion of those obstacles. It cannot teach you how to be happy, but it clears away the stress that keeps you from noticing the happiness already within. Consider the average person living paycheck to paycheck. Every day is a calculation. How much is in the bank account? Can I pay the electricity bill and still buy food? What if the car breaks down? What if someone gets sick? Each of these questions is a source of stress, not because the person is greedy, but because their very survival depends on it. Stress is the body's response to uncertainty and danger, and financial insecurity keeps the body and mind in a permanent state of alert. You cannot meditate deeply, love freely, or create fully when your nervous system is trapped in survival mode. Money doesn't solve every problem, but it solves the survival problem. Once you can afford a safe home, food on the table, and basic health care, a large weight is lifted. That removal of weight is a form of happiness in itself. Think about how different life feels when an emergency happens and you are prepared. If your child gets sick and you know you can afford the best doctor, the stress level drops dramatically. If your car breaks down and you can easily cover the repair, it's an inconvenience, not a catastrophe. If you lose your job but have 6 months of savings, you have breathing room instead of panic. In all these cases, money is not buying you joy directly. It is buying the absence of fear, and when fear leaves, joy has space to return. Stress is the thief of presence. When you're worried about the next bill, you cannot fully enjoy a meal, a walk, or a conversation. Money removes that worry and returns you to the present moment. Another aspect to consider is relationships. Many conflicts in families and marriages are rooted in financial pressure. Arguments about bills, debts, or lifestyle choices create tension that spills into love and trust. Children who grow up in financially unstable households often absorb this stress unconsciously and carry it into their own lives. By contrast, financial stability allows relationships to breathe. Couples can focus on companionship rather than survival. Parents can focus on nurturing rather than scraping by. Friendships become about joy, not about borrowing or lending money. In this way, money doesn't just eliminate stress for the individual, it eliminates it for entire communities. However, it's important to understand that money only eliminates stress up to a point. Studies often show that beyond a certain level of income, enough to comfortably cover basic needs and a little extra, additional wealth doesn't significantly reduce stress. That's because the nature of stress changes. A person making $40,000 a year worries about paying rent. A person making $4 million a year might worry about lawsuits, reputation, or market crashes. If you don't cultivate peace of mind, money will just shift your stress to a different level. So the real trick is balance. Earn enough to remove the survival stress, but don't tie your identity to money itself. One way to view money is as a shield. Life will always have uncertainties, illness, accidents, unexpected changes, but money is the shield that absorbs the first impact. Without the shield, every hit is devastating. With the shield, you remain standing and recover more quickly. That resilience creates confidence, and confidence lowers stress. It's like walking through a storm with an umbrella. You cannot control the rain, but you can protect yourself enough to keep moving. Money also reduces stress by buying back time. Many stresses in modern life come from being rushed, working long hours, commuting, juggling multiple responsibilities. With money, you can outsource tasks you dislike or free yourself from obligations that drain you. This doesn't just save time, it lowers the constant tension of having too much to do. Imagine the difference between cooking dinner every night after a 12-hour shift versus occasionally ordering healthy takeout because you can afford it. That small relief compounds into a calmer, more balanced life. In the end, money eliminates stress not because it changes who you are, but because it changes the conditions in which you live. Stress thrives on scarcity, uncertainty, and fear. Money brings abundance, stability, and confidence. It doesn't guarantee happiness, but it removes many of the barriers that keep happiness out of reach. Once your mind is no longer burdened with survival anxiety, you can direct your energy toward higher pursuit, learning, loving, creating, exploring. That is the hidden truth behind the phrase money can buy happiness. It buys the peace of mind that makes happiness possible. Money lets you optimize your life, and that's where its true power lies. Most people think about money only in terms of consumption. Bigger houses, nicer cars, more gadgets. But the real leverage of money is in how it allows you to design your days. Optimization is about aligning your time, energy, and attention with the things that truly matter to you. Without money, much of your life is dictated by necessity. With money, you get to choose, and those choices determine the quality of your life far more than any material possession. At its core, optimization means reducing the things that drain you and increasing the things that energize you. Everyone has tasks they disliked, chores, errands, administrative work, or obligations that feel heavy. When you lack money, you have no choice but to do them yourself, often at the expense of the activities you actually value. With money, you can outsource or automate those tasks. You can hire someone to clean your home, deliver your groceries, manage your taxes, or repair what's broken. Each time you do this, you reclaim hours of your life. Those hours can now be reinvested into what matters most: your health, your relationships, your passions. In that sense, money buys not just time but higher quality time. Optimization also applies to health. Without financial resources, people are forced to accept whatever health care they can afford, often reactive rather than preventative. With money, you can invest in high-quality food, fitness, medical care, and even rest. You can choose organic meals over processed food. You can hire a trainer or join a wellness program. You can afford regular checkups and treatments before small problems become big ones. This isn't luxury, it's optimization. A healthier body and mind give you more energy to pursue happiness and purpose. Poor health creates stress, and stress diminishes the quality of every moment. Money allows you to optimize away from that downward spiral. Another area where money optimizes life is learning. If knowledge compounds like interest, then the sooner you start investing in it, the greater the return. With money, you can buy books, courses, mentorship, and experiences that expand your perspective. You can pay for education not as a credential but as wisdom. You can travel to new places, meet people from different backgrounds, and learn directly from them. Each of these choices accelerates your growth, and growth is one of the deepest sources of fulfillment. Without money, your learning is limited to what is free and available. With money, you get access to a richer and more tailored education, which shapes the trajectory of your entire life. Optimization is also about relationships. When you are financially stressed, relationships are often transactional. You might stay connected to people you don't truly respect because you need their support or fear losing stability. With money, you can build relationships purely on choice and mutual growth. You can spend more time with people who inspire you, who challenge you, who bring out your best self. You can be generous without worrying about scarcity. Generosity itself is a form of optimization because it builds trust, joy, and deeper bonds. By removing financial pressure from relationships, money lets them flourish on authentic terms. The biggest optimization money provides is freedom of focus. Attention is the most valuable resource you have, even more than time, because what you pay attention to shapes your reality. Without money, your attention is hijacked by obligations you cannot escape, long commutes, endless hours at jobs you dislike, constant problem solving for survival. With money, you can focus on creating rather than consuming, on long-term projects rather than short-term fixes, on the future instead of just the present. Imagine waking up and spending your morning writing, painting, building, or exploring ideas instead of rushing to a job you hate. That is optimization, channeling your attention toward what lights you up, not what weighs you down. But here's the subtle truth. Optimization doesn't mean maximizing everything. It means aligning with what matters to you personally. If you blindly chase society's definition of success, you'll optimize for status and end up more miserable. Naval often reminds us that wealth is about freedom, not showing off. Optimization with money is not about buying the most expensive version of everything. It's about buying back alignment. For one person, that may mean more time with family. For another, it may mean freedom to travel. For someone else, it may mean long, quiet hours to think and build. Money gives you the ability to adjust your life closer and closer to your ideal design. In a way, money is like a magnifying glass. Whatever life you already have, it amplifies it. If you're unhappy, money may temporarily distract you, but won't fix the root problem. If you're intentional, money becomes the fuel that optimizes your journey. It removes the small frictions, gives you leverage over time and energy, and creates a smoother path toward the life you want. That's why some people with modest wealth live extraordinary lives, while others with great fortunes remain trapped. It's not the size of the money, it's how it's used. So when we say money lets you optimize your life, what we really mean is that it lets you reclaim authorship over your days. Instead of being a passenger dragged along by circumstance, you become the writer of your story. You no longer optimize for survival, you optimize for meaning, and meaning, more than luxury, is what makes a life worth living.